Okay, hang on a second. Let's talk about the remaining wild card teams that are still playing, still fighting for the Super Bowl. Teams that are not on by my Detroit Lions and the Kansas City Chiefs. So I'm going to rank them from the lowest to highest, and who I think will get bounced, who I think is the best. The lowest tier will be who I think will probably be knocked out this weekend, or worst chances of advancing, worst chances of winning the Super Bowl. So I've got the teams ranked out in tiers. It was pretty hard at some of these points to really kind of break these teams apart because I think they're so tight. Tier 5 at the bottom, I've got the Steelers. I just think when I'm looking at the rest of these teams, the Steelers are missing everything. It would be quicker to list the Steelers. The Steelers aren't good. They squeaked into the playoffs. I think by the grace of Mike Tomlin, who is a fantastic coach, practices in witchcraft something. I mean, Russell Wilson is a game manager at best, and it looks like his head is screwed on backwards. George Pickens doesn't want to be there. Hats off to Najee Harris and Jalen Warren. Najee Harris runs so hard. I hope Pittsburgh fucks up and lets him walk next year. I think he's a stud. Pittsburgh has nothing. If for Pittsburgh to have to win a playoff game, it would have to be, 10-14. TJ Watt would have to have like 4 or 5 sacks, a strip sack. He's all they have. So I hope he's, doing whatever Mike Tomlin's doing. Witchcraftery, whatever. That's it. I've got the Steelers right now as my 12th ranked playoff team in Tier 5, just ahead of Washington. And even as I say this, I feel like Washington should be bumped up a tier. Washington at least has talent on offense. Like, Jaden Daniels has absolutely carried this team. He's a star in the making. But, spoiler alert, the team right above Washington, so was C.J. Stroud last year. Spoiler alert, but so hold the phone on Jaden Daniels. You never know. There's always a sophomore slump, but Jaden Daniels right here, right now, I think is really good and gives Washington at least a shot to win a playoff game. Terry McLaurin is having a great year. They've got a couple weapons here and there. I couldn't name one player on their defense other than Marshawn Lattimore, and that's only because they traded for him. So I don't believe in their coach. I give him 2 years tops, probably 3, because Jaden Daniels is going to buy him some time. But so Steelers and Washington at the bottom in Tier 5. Go up to Tier 4, and I mentioned it just now, I've got the Texans. They're pretty similar to the Steelers. I feel like, if anything, the Texans and Washington could be flip-flopped easily, but I'm sticking with my rankings. The Texans, they squeaked into the playoffs too. I mean, what the hell happened to them? I know what happened to them. The Lions ended their season just like they've ended a ton of teams' seasons. Maybe C.J. Stroud figures it out. He's got Nico Collins. No Steph Diggs. No Tank Dell. Joe Mixon had a hell of a year as well, but I also, you can't ignore Will Anderson. He's a star as well. So, the Texans, between those 3 teams, Washington and Pittsburgh, at least have playmakers on both sides of the ball. So could I see them squeaking out a playoff game? Yeah, but I don't see them going too far. Next team in Tier 4 is the Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield had an MVP-like year. Second in passing yard, or top 5 in passing yards, and I think second in passing touchdowns, only behind Joe Burrow. Fantastic year. Him by himself will be enough of a reason why the Bucs can win. They're playing Washington, so that's really a coin toss. I think I'm going to give the slight edge to Baker to do a bit more than Jaden Daniels. Playoff football is different. And Baker's a gamer. He's a dog. No matter where he's gone, you've always been able to say that about him. So I've got the Bucs above the Texans in team number 12, 11, 10. At team 9, do I have the Buccaneers. Team 8 right above them, kind of a surprise to me, is the Denver Broncos. Now, maybe I have a little bit of what I like to call like watch bias. I've seen them play their last 2 games. Well, actually, I really hope most people didn't watch that Broncos game, like Broncos-Chiefs game. Like, my God, that was disgusting. I scoreboxed watch a little bit. 31-0. Ew, no reason to watch that. I hope you guys spent your time doing something else, enjoying maybe your last day off work. But the Broncos look good. Bo Nix has played fantastic football, and he's athletic. He can pick up not just a first down. He can pick up a chunk of yards. Courtland Sutton and him have a great connection. Courtland Sutton, another underrated player in the NFL, I think. They've got a stable of donkeys, not a stable of horses or running backs, but a stable of donkeys. Sorry, guys. I'm not super impressed by either of those running backs, but a great defense. They'll be on the road, though, so that'll be a little tougher with a rookie quarterback, but again, like I said at the beginning of this, really splitting hairs. These teams are so neck and neck, and that's what makes the NFL playoffs like nothing else. The NFL in general is any given Sunday, but when you consider the NFL playoffs, where you've got playmakers everywhere, unless you're Pittsburgh, it'll be a fun playoff for sure. So I've got the Broncos there at team 8, just behind the Chargers. And this is... I don't know what to make about the Chargers. Jim Harbaugh, wherever you go, he's a winner, but J.K. Dobbins at running back, Ladd McConkey, Quentin Johnson at receiver, it's no confusion as to why the Chargers have been good this year. Justin Herbert is a star. I posted a video, you can find it on my playlists, about why I think the Chargers, they'll be Super Bowl bound in the next 2 years, and all in on the offense. They're kind of copying the Lions model. They've got a great offensive line, fantastic quarterback. They've got a piece here and there on offense. Go get a running back in the second round. Draft a receiver in the first round. Take another, do whatever you want. Offense, and let the defense try and catch up. Let the offense put a little pressure on the opposing offense. I got the Chargers at team 7. So we're going into the top half now. Tier 3, I've got the Rams and the Packers. The Rams, I feel like these two teams are so similar. They could both make a run at the Super Bowl, but I don't think they're consistent enough. We saw the Rams in an absolute shootout with the Bills, 40 scores in the 40s, but then they follow it up with an absolute stinker against the 49ers. So depending on which team you're going to get, the Rams could absolutely win a playoff game, maybe 2. They've got a tough draw against the Vikings. So I haven't mentioned them, so I guess based on that, I'm thinking the Rams aren't going to win a playoff game, and it's because they're so inconsistent. They've got talent on offense. They've got some young pieces on defense. I think look out for them in the future, but I don't know how much Matthew Stafford has left in the tank. As far as the Packers, pretty similar talent everywhere. A good coach when it's not the NFC Championship game. He's got a little James Franklin in him, maybe a little, big gameophobia in him. Those two could absolutely be flip-flopped. If you ask me, take one of these quarterbacks, just Jordan Love or Matthew Stafford, to win a playoff game, I'm taking Stafford all day. I think the Packers have more talent. They've got a better defense, I can't say they have a better coach. What am I doing? Those two all of these teams are like splitting hairs, but I do really believe in these tiers. I've got them ranked in Washington and Pittsburgh at the bottom in Tier 5. Tier 4, we've got the Chargers, Broncos, Bucks, and Texans. The Tier 3 has an outside shot at winning a Super Bowl, I think. They could definitely upset somebody in the playoffs. Not the Rams could, of course, upset somebody. And the Lions gave them a blueprint. That's for damn sure. Pressure Sam Darnold up in the face, and let's see what happens. Tier 2, this is where I think you're going to start getting some Super Bowl plays here. I've got the Vikings at team number 4. Remember, this is excluding the Lions and the Chiefs. Only talking about teams that are playing this weekend. Vikings at team 4, they were exposed. It doesn't matter if you think they'll play better at home. They're on the road, unless absolute catastrophe or madness happens. Sam Darnold is exposed, but they still got a great defense. They've still got maybe the best receiver in football. Great pass catchers. I think Kevin O'Connell is a great coach, even though I couldn't remember his name yesterday. But they could be in that Tier 3 as well. But I think they've proven way too much to... They've done way too much to prove that they are a consistent team. They will play hard defense. They've got talent everywhere. It's all up to Sam Darnold. Can he rebound? I think he can absolutely rebound at least once. I think they will beat the Rams, and then they will come back home to Detroit and get their ass kicked a third time. Team number 3 in Tier 2 is the Eagles. Now, this is heavily hinging on whether or not Jalen Hurts will be able to play this weekend. But if he can, then I think the Eagles, could absolutely be bumped up into that Tier 1 tier with the Bills and the Ravens. They've got talent everywhere. Jalen Hurts, I think right now, is probably an underrated quarterback, but they don't have to ask him to do as much as he has in the past because they've got such a great running game. And great. I think that's a great formula to controlling the game to play your type of football. And looking at the rest of these teams, none of them have a consistent running game except maybe the Packers that you can lean on and play consistent football. When you're throwing the ball 40 times a game, I think you have a greater variance. You don't know what's going to come up. So I think when you're able to control the game, shorten the game, play your game, that helps a team. It really helps a team. And the Eagles are the perfect embodiment of that. They've got a great defense as well. Questionable coach, for sure. Let's see what he can do. They will be getting who? The Packers? Oh, that's going to be a great game. These matchups really ended up pretty interesting. You got a Tier 2 and Tier 3 matchup twice in the Eagles versus the Packers and the Vikings versus the Rams. And then you've got a couple stinkers at the bottom with the Bucks versus this Washington. But then, I think it might be a bit of chalk as far as the playoffs go. We'll see. Again, it's any given Sunday or Saturday or Monday because the NFL is greedy. Team number 2 right now, again, splitting hairs, but these two teams are for sure above and beyond the rest. I think the Bills, I have just below the Ravens. That's right. Bills, then the Ravens. I think Josh Allen, not a great thrower. He's a great runner who can throw. He is not first, second, third, fourth. He is 7th in the NFL in touchdowns this year. It's crazy. One behind Bo Nix and tied with, you guessed it, Aaron Rodgers. Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, same amount of touchdowns this year. Now, Josh Allen did a great job at taking care of the ball, only 6 interceptions, but that's not MVP caliber football. You know who is playing MVP football? Lamar Jackson. 41 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. That is phenomenal. And he can run the ball. It has to be a three-peat. If it's not a three, it doesn't matter. The NFL awards are stupid. I think there's a fact that Michael Jordan only won 2 MVP awards because, these awards are bullshit. So, Michael Jordan famously played 15 years in the NBA. Only 5 MVPs. As, by far the GOAT, Jumpman logo, best basketball player ever. You can have that debate, LeBron or MJ, but 15 years, 5 MVPs. There is MVP fatigue in sports. It's just to attract some sizzle. Awards are the fajita platter of the Mexican restaurant. Just, they smell great, they sound great, but I would take a burrito all day over fajitas. Major sidetrack. I think Lamar is hands down the MVP. He blows Josh Allen away in all passing categories. He doesn't blow him away. He does. He also has a 3% higher completion percentage. So does Bo Nix. Again, Josh Allen, same completion percentage as Aaron Rodgers. Woof. For that reason, and I don't trust Sean McDermott. With those two head coaches going head-to-head, that's not even a question. Harbaugh or McDermott, Ravens all day. So that's my tier ranking of the remaining wildcard teams, excluding the Chiefs and the Lions. I think the Lions are for sure the best team right now. You could make an argument, where do the Chiefs fall in? They're definitely going to be in that tier 1. I think, that again, splitting hairs. I don't think I trust Buffalo right now. So those are my rankings. Tier 5, I've got going team number 12, Steelers, and then Washington, team 11. Tier 4, I've got the Texans, then the Bucks, then the Broncos, then the Chargers. Tier number 3, the Rams, then the Packers. Tier number 2, the Vikings, then the Eagles. And the number 1 tier ranking right now in all of the wild card remaining teams is the Bills and then the Ravens. I have the Ravens as my favorite team right here, right now. Chargers go to Houston and actually are 3-point favorites, which matches up with my rankings. But yeah, I don't believe in Houston one bit. Over under 42, that's a little low. But Pittsburgh going to Baltimore. That's my 1 versus 12. I bet that's a touchdown favorite spread there. Wow, Baltimore by 9.5. Yeah, no respect for Pittsburgh. Tomlin's a great road dog as far as the betting line, but I don't care. Playoff football, I'm just going to enjoy and watch. Denver going to Buffalo. Is that going to be more or less than the Pittsburgh spread? No, I'm going to say it's less. I bet it's like 6. I'm going to say right on 6. 8.5. Wow. I like Denver a lot, but I hope it's not that watch bias that I've got. I think Buffalo could absolutely choke. At least to not cover, but Denver has a great defense. That'd be an awesome upset if Denver could beat Buffalo. That would be my 2 versus 8 matchup there. I definitely, I think Buffalo should win that, but look out. Broncos are nothing to laugh about. Green Bay going to Philly, that's going to be Jalen Hurts dependent. That'll be a fun game. Philly by 4.5 right now. Washington going to Tampa, my bottom 2 really. The worst matchup based on tiers. Washington 11, Bucks 9, Tampa by 3. That sounds about right. Over under 50. So that's the highest projected over under. That should be a fun game. I'm rooting for Baker. I just always like Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, just underrated, tough dude, fun guy. Gives you something to laugh about, talk about. And the Monday night game, Minnesota going to Los Angeles. Minnesota 1-point favorite. Yeah, I think Minnesota's in a good bounce back spot. So I like Minnesota to beat Los Angeles. So there's your matchups. There's my tier rankings. Hope you liked it. There'll be more coming out soon. Take it easy.